Hey guys, it's Jake here with etrailer. Today we have a 2024 Ram 1500 and we're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Truxedo Low Pro soft roll-up tonneau cover. This tonneau cover is designed to work with your 24 Ram if you have the Ram boxes. If you do not have the Ram boxes, you're going to have a much wider tonneau cover, so you can check out our website for more information on those. But essentially what it's going to do is mount into the rails that are pre-installed from the factory. Your track rails are underneath here, and our tonneau cover rails are going to mount directly into the T-track on top of them. Now, the benefits of a soft roll-up tonneau cover is going to be that they are going to help protect the items on the inside of your bed from the elements and from theft. Now, if someone were to take a knife to the top of this tonneau cover, they could have whatever is in the contents of your bed, but at least it's going to deter people from figuring out what's on the inside of your bed. If you don't have a tonneau cover at all that stuff's exposed to the elements, and for people wanting to take it home. What I like about the soft roll-up tonneau covers, and what a lot of other people do too, is when you roll them up to the front of your bed, first off, it's a job you can do by yourself. A lot of those tri-fold or quad-fold covers, it's very, very heavy to lift them up into place. But this one you can do by yourself. It comes with straps to be able to strap this up into place on the front. And then once you have it up and in place, this is all the room that it's going to take up. If you have a canister style that is a retractable tonneau cover that goes into a canister, that's going to take up more space on the inside of your bed. I personally have a friend that has one of these trucks with the Ram boxes. They had a retractable tonneau cover and they did not like that it took up more space on the inside of their bed, because after all, this is only a 5.5 foot bed to begin with, so if you take away another foot, that's going to take up a lot of space that is very valuable on the inside of this bed. The other thing is that with a soft roll-up like we have here, this is not going to be anywhere close to blocking your view. The headrests on the inside are about here, so your only visibility is typically through your back window, through your rear view mirror. This is not even going to be taller than that center headrest either, so it's not going to block your view at all. If you have one of the tri-folds, which doesn't take up any room on the inside of the bed, it will take up room. If you want your full bed access back, you have to flip that last section up here and you have to prop it standing up, and that will completely block your view. So it's kind of a push and shove situation where if you get a hard tonneau cover that folds, you're losing visibility or bed space. And then with the hard roll-ups that are retractable into the drums, you're not losing any visibility, but you're losing a lot of permanent bed space. And then our cover is going to be made out of a vinyl material. To protect this cover for the years to come, I highly recommend getting some vinyl protectant that you wipe on here maybe once or twice a year to help to keep that sheen on the top and to keep any of the elements from sticking to it. If you have a vinyl cover that's older, it can tend to get porous and attract some of that dirt, and then it's really hard to clean off. But if you keep it a nice slick surface, it'll be very easy to clean. Now when you close up your cover on a vinyl cover, you can see we have some waves here. We do have support bars in this cover. There's 2 in this cover. You can see them here at the 1/3 and 2/3 mark. Those are only as helpful as the cover is tight. So if you have snow or leaves or anything like that sitting on top of your cover, you have to pull this cover tight. So you want to attach one side of the hook and loop fasteners and then pull the other side tight. This can be a tedious process if you're opening and closing your tonneau cover a lot, but you can see here it's very, very flexible. If you pull it nice and tight, it'll help to keep some of that wind noise down when you're driving on the road, and definitely help to give you some better support whenever you have that stuff sitting on top of the cover. Now I found when you're closing up this cover, I find that it's easier to close the tailgate first. That way you get a nice tight seal against these foam seals that we're going to put in place, and then come up on top and lock the top into place. That way this seal is nice and flat on the top of your tailgate. You can do it the other way. The only problem is that seal is very, very thick. You may be able to do it later on after you've used the cover for a year or so, but closing the tailgate can be quite difficult if you're trying to close it up against that seal. And this is a good time to point out the other safety feature is that once your tailgate is locked, Unless you cut into this cover, you cannot get the cover open because the latch is on the inside of the cover. Now, unlike a lot of other tonneau covers that have the rope style or cable style where you have to pull the cable, a lot of those you have to pull both sides, so you almost have to be in the center of your truck bed to be able to pull them both. This one's just going to have one lever that you simply pop. It's going to pop the cover up, and then you can roll it up to the cab of your truck. So all in all, I really like this cover. I don't think I would go with the retractable style or the hard fold back style, just because this bed is already small enough. You can't really sacrifice a whole lot of space in there in order to still use it to be able to haul whatever you're wanting to haul. I really like how this is going to be water resistant. No cover out there is going to be a guaranteed waterproof cover. Because of all the other nooks and crannies in the bed. It's all based off of how the bed itself is made, not necessarily the cover. The cover companies can do all they can to make it waterproof, but if the bed's not straight, then you're not going to have good success with keeping water out of there. But this is going to do a really good job of keeping a majority of it out. As far as the installation goes, this is a very, very simple installation. There's only going to be one part in it that it would be better to have another person, and that is to hold the rails up against the side tight so that you can get a tight seal. But with that being said, let's go ahead and show you how to get it done. To begin your installation, you want to make sure, first off, that your tracks are going to be in the correct orientation. We are installing it with the ram boxes, so you want to make sure that your tracks that come from the factory have the T-slot in the top. Ours were actually flipped over. I don't know if that was intentional from the factory, but this bar here, this accessory bar, needs to be on the bottom. So we've got ours flipped back over. You want to take this end cap out. There's a little nib on the bottom that you need to push. Push that, pull the cap out. Then we can take our top brackets. We'll take the thicker bolts that come in our kit, slide those through, and then take one of these T-track plates and thread it on the bottom. Now you want to just barely get it started. Then we'll take that track, slide it into our rails. We're going to slide this one pretty far forward towards the front. We're going to have 3 different measurements of where these have to go on the sides of our truck. So we're going to get our other 2 in place, and then we'll measure them out to make sure they're in the right place. If you have a 5.5 foot bed, which is a short version of this truck bed, you're going to have 3 measurements. Our first one is going to be 7 3/8, so we'll move it till the center of our bolt. That's from the bulkhead. The center of our bolt is at 7 3/8. Hold that in place. And then our second one is going to be 32 3/4. And our last one will be 58. And you'll want to use a 14 millimeter socket to get these tightened down. We're going to take our foam seals. This one looks like this. We're going to have this up. It'll go right here behind our rail up against our bulkhead. What we like to do is we'll take some alcohol and we're just going to clean this spot off because a lot of dust and debris and dirt can get caught in this bed liner texture, and this tape does not like to stick to it. So we'll clean it off, let that dry for a second, peel off our double-sided tape, and then we'll take this, slide it back behind this very carefully. You want it about even with the top of the bed, and then we'll stick it to the bulkhead. Now we can get our rail set up into place. We've got it sitting right on top of our brackets. We're not going to worry about pulling it tight to the truck just yet. The holes in these brackets we just put on are slotted, so we'll get our hardware in place first, and then we'll get somebody else to help us tighten these down. We'll need one person pulling on the rail while the other person's tightening the hardware down. What you want to do is you want to compress that foam on the outside just a little bit. If it's hanging up above the bed, that's okay. We can always tuck it down if we need to. We're going to take a 11 millimeter wrench and socket, and then tighten these down. With this foam seal, you'll have multiple ribs on the sides of it. You want that top one to be resting on top. So you can see we've got a little bit of a dip here. So we're just going to take a trim panel tool and pull that up. Now at the end of our truck, we've got this big open space here. We need to put our large seal in place. You'll see it has one little nib up here that comes out a little bit further. You want that at the top. So we'll stick it in the corner. Again, you want to clean this off with alcohol. Make sure it's a nice clean surface. Stick that to it. And then we've got another seal that needs to go right here on the corner. And those will make sense in your kit. We have another shape that looks the opposite of this one, and it'll go on our other rail. Now we're going to take our tonneau cover roll, carefully set it across and in our rails. You want to make sure that your seal back here is draped over top. Now if you're installing it like we are with our Ram boxes, you don't want to use the bulkhead seal that comes in the kit. If you're mounting it on top of your bed rails, you will want to use it. Now we can clip our front end in. You want to push down on the cover and then pop this over until it locks into place, just like that. You'll know when this little metal tab is locked and you can't open it back up. Now we can roll our cover out. We do have some tension springs up there, but we don't want to tighten those until we know for a fact that our cover is fitting properly. Make sure your bars are sitting down in there. And for the first time, I like to lift it up, make sure it's straight, and come to the end of your rails. And usually from the factory, these are pretty close. There, that is good. You want it to be a nice, you want it to be a little difficult, not impossible, but you want it to be nice and tight on top. We'll take our fabric on top, or our nylon, make sure that it's even on both sides. I like to stick one side down, and then we'll go to the other side and pull it tight. Pull this tight, make sure for proper fitment, try to get all those wrinkles out of the top. There we go. Now that we know it's a good fit, we'll go ahead and open the cover back up, tighten up those two screws, and we're good to go. Now we'll take our covers, slide them back on the ends of our rails, close our tailgate, make sure that it's sealing properly, and that's going to do it for a look at and installation of the Truxedo Low Pro Soft Roll-Up Tonneau Cover on our 2024 Ram 1500.